My name is Cadence Green, and this is my interview/TED Talk with Addie and Ash. So, guys, women in Afghanistan experience fear and torture every single day. The Taliban unfortunately enforces this behavior. The Taliban is an Islamic fundamentalist group that believes in a harsh interpretation of Islamic law. Have you heard of the Taliban before, Addison?
No, not really. Like,
Oh. Have you heard of the Taliban?
A little bit in English class.
Yeah. The effects of the Taliban prevent women from having an education or really having any personal rights at all. If a woman desires an education or to speak up for herself, she is subject to be kidnapped or beaten. Can you imagine that?
oh my, you're lying.
Can you imagine that? Ultimately, the Taliban affects women. Ultimately, the Taliban affects women of Afghanistan in a negative way. Ultimately, the Taliban. Ultimately, the Taliban affects women of Afghanistan in a negative way, as they are held from their full potential, stripped of their rights, and held back from their dreams. What are your hopes and dreams?
To live out my education and just like have a full and good free life, you know?
And yours?
Yeah, I would like to be educated and be educated enough to successfully live my life and support myself financially.
Cool. Those women don't have any of that. Anyway, the health, well-being, rights, and goals of women from Afghanistan are completely disregarded and not cared about by the Taliban. This statement can be proved by many researchers, government officials, bystanders, and the women themselves, obviously. For example, in the article The Taliban in Afghanistan, it states women have seen their rights obliterated. The Taliban have prohibited most girls from attending secondary school, banned all women from attending and teaching at universities, and prevented women from working. Do you appreciate our opportunity to go to school? Do you?
Yes.
Good answer. No. We got your answer. Addison. The source is from an interview between a government official and the interviewer. Throughout the article, they discuss the ways in which the Taliban affects women in Afghanistan. They glaze over what happens to women that try to speak up and what happens to women who don't. In another interview, Afghanistan Taliban deprive women of livelihoods and identity. They talk about similar matters. The Human Rights Watch states the Taliban have imposed rights violating policies that have created huge barriers to women's and girls' health and education, curtailed freedom of movement, expression, and association, and deprived many of earned income. How do you like to express yourself, Ash?
I like to express myself through photography and videography.
Cool. And what about you, Addison?
I like to express myself through like my style and my fashion and like my physical appearance.
Cool. So the women of Afghanistan, they don't get none of that. They get beaten, kidnapped, raped, and tortured if they want to do any of what you guys just said. Okay. Anyway, although the acts of the Taliban are seen as inhumane to many people, they find justification for their actions through their beliefs. In an interview with a believer of the enforced Islamic laws, it is said that we are never against women's rights. We protect more women's rights than the others who are claiming to do it because we want to protect this in accordance to the Taliban view of Sharia and Islamic principles. Do you agree with this, Addison?
No, I do not agree with this.
Do you agree with this, Ash?
No, I think it's very wrong. The Taliban are delusional.
Yeah. Overall, the lives of the women who are affected by the Taliban are extremely different than ours. This is something that should be thought about when we complain about school and or other small things throughout our lives. It must be remembered that these women don't have those things. They don't have the chance to be educated and have a life. They don't hang out with their friends. They don't express themselves and they can't be who they want to be. My name is Cadence Green and that was my TED Talk. Thank you very much. Bye.